Welcome to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. Join us here every Saturday night at 8 o'clock, or listen to our podcast anytime on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, just to name a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by the ReaderHouse online bookstore, where independent new authors come first. Is there anything worse than bad customer service? I just had some. I called the U.S. passport office because I got a passport and I haven't received it yet. And I put it in the same envelope as my husband's passport application in March. And I still haven't received it yet. Waited on the phone for an hour. And when the customer service representative finally picked up, he said, I can't talk to you today. If you don't need your passport until such and such a date, you can't call us till tomorrow. And I said, but it's been 3 days I've been trying to get in touch with you. Okay, you get the idea. He hung up on me after an hour. I think we can do better, right? Customer service, it's just enough, honestly, to give you a nervous breakdown. Well, Dr. Harold L. Price Sr. hears us, and he is here to help all of us manage our expectations and help customer service reps do their jobs better. The name of his book, The Guide, Tools and Guidelines for Success to Provide Great Call Center Customer Service.
Be honest about it, Alice, is a good read for anyone. But my target market is customer service reps. I refer to in the book as CSRs. Besides, the purpose of the book, which is to augment or enhance the skills of the customer service rep, it's got some pretty good stuff in it about life experiences. Let us say the positives of my life experiences. This is the second edition of this book. I initially wrote a book on call center customer service about 20 years ago, right after I got my PhD. But then again, I self-published. So this time I thought about it. I said, when I thought, what do I want to write about? I figured write about something that I know something about. So it came to me.
What's your experience in call center customer service?
Well, I've worked in about 6 call centers. So I've got like over 20 years experience. So I figured I had something that I picked up along the way that I could share with someone that they could perhaps use it. Particularly call center customer service. It's sort of like, I look at it as being a lost art. I look at customer service, providing customer service is an art. It's not for everyone. Everyone can't do it because it's a very challenging field. So, in accordance with what I learned along the way, it's like, well, I think I can help some people because I know I reflect on some of the things that I experienced providing call center customer service.
Give me an example.
Well, customers, number one, many customers can be rather provocative. But so, yeah, to put it mildly. But you can't buy into that. What I gained in doing call center customer service was the ability of self-restraint. You got to use it, If you're not able to have self-restraint, you won't be in the position, probably won't be in the position very long at all. But you learn how to deal with various people, and you can't stereotype people. Just because you talk to someone who has the same problem, that doesn't mean that you put them in the same category because, as you know, people are unique. Everyone's unique. I don't care if they have the same problem or not. But the thing about being a call center customer service rep is your ability to listen and decipher. You got to be able to do that. It's mandatory because, there's a big difference between listening and hearing. I can hear what you said, but did I listen to what you said? Do you understand me?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, I have called customer service representatives for certain public utilities.
Yeah.
And by the time I reach a real person, after you go through all of the recorded messages and pressing this button and that, where I have been furious, over the top, upset because I'm so frustrated that I thought I had a situation that I thought could be taken care of in a matter of minutes. And 2 hours later, I still find myself looking for an answer. And I have been obnoxious. I have been the person you don't want to deal with. But I've also dealt with customer service representatives. You know, the good ones are really good. Yeah. You know what would be nice? If you could just get to the customer service representative.
I think it's a bit too much emphasis on automation to start with. You will never successfully eliminate, say, the human connection. You know, like you said, by the time you talk to a person, you were probably 5 to 10 times more frustrated than you were when you called.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, the best part is the automated voice says, I will put you in touch with a customer service representative, but let me understand why you're calling first. Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? And it's like, no, it's none of those things. You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And you're right back where you started.
I mean, what's the worst experience you ever had?
One of the worst experience, a guy called in and he had called in several times before. You know, he immediately insulted me, slammed me. But what I learned is I couldn't take it personal. And if I wasn't able to realize, like, wait a minute, this guy doesn't know me and I don't know him. Insult after insult. But I was able to maintain my composure and I helped the guy. And then I distinctly remember him saying, hey, thanks a lot, man. I apologize, but listen, look, I've been through hell and high water. I remember him saying that, but he apologized at the end. And I got gratitude out of the fact that I was actually able to help the guy resolve the problem. The issue is not resolved until the customer's problem is taken care of.
Well, I mean, I get the feeling that a lot of times you're dealing with a customer service representative who doesn't have the authority necessarily to fix your problem. I have been put on hold for a half an hour, 45 minutes.
No, that's unacceptable. No one should place you on hold more than, say, 2 to 3 minutes. You know, because you're taking the person for granted if you just put them on hold and you know, you come back 15 minutes later and say, still working on it, ma'am. You're not supposed to do that. Reps in large call centers know that, but great call center customer service, you know, it's taken for granted. That was my primary reason for writing the book. To reiterate that, if I could get some people to listen to me, I know from my own experience, which is all I have to draw from, that I could improve the performance of representatives in a call center. You know, because people say, "Oh, he wrote a book on customer service." Yeah, read it. You know, and you tell me you don't get anything out of it. Period. Read it.
Well, I mean, what does the average person get out of this? It's called The Guide, Tools and Guidelines for Success to Provide Great Call Center Customer Service, The Rep's Guide to Success, second edition, evolution. What is the average person going to get out of this?
Well, okay, it's the end result that counts. Always keep the end in view. So if you start something, you gotta finish it. I had to learn that. You haven't done anything until you finish. How many people have you met to say, well, I did this and I was doing that? Yeah, but did you finish it? Finishing the task. Like you said in customer service, you call to give full service. That's a high point in the book.
I mean, it cannot be easy to be a customer service representative at Blue Cross Blue Shield, Social Security, Small Business Administration. That's got to be insane.
Well, since you brought that up, it's been analyzed that there's more stress involved in being a customer service rep than policeman in the city of New York. How about that?
No way.
Yes, wait.
because you're solving big problems. I mean, healthcare issues, social security issues, that can be very complicated, I would imagine.
The stress level, Alice. The stress level. That's what it's about.
You got your master's, you got your PhD. What'd you get your PhD in?
Public administration.
Oh, okay. And then what'd you get your master's in?
I got an MBA in business management.
Jeez. You're a very well educated man.
Well, yeah,
that's why you're a good writer, right?
Well, yeah. I actually learned how to write. It stuck out to me. I said, hey, I could write when I was in undergrad. When I got to grad school, I could write. I knew I could write. You got to be able to write, or the professor will throw your paper back to you. Hey, take this back. Come back and see me in a couple of days. It helped me.
Your book looks like a great book for somebody who wants to work in customer service. I could think of I think every public utility should have this book because they're the worst. They're the ones that put you on hold for hours on end. I was on hold with a phone company, right? And they put me on hold and they would transfer me and put me on hold and then disconnect me and I would have to call back, right? So I would like to see every public utility, every phone company, cell phone company to have this guide. But you're saying to me that, I should read this book. I have no intention of ever going into customer service, although maybe I will after talking to you. So why should I read this book?
You've got to have a positive frame of mind to be successful if you want success. So how do you create a positive frame of mind? Depends on the mindset. It's all about the individual. You don't develop a positive mindset as soon as you arrive at work. You've got to cultivate positivity. Are you with me?
I am.
So the thing is, the effectiveness of a proper greeting will oftentimes result in immediate reciprocation by the customer, meaning that, you be kind to the customer, they'll be kind to you. People take that for granted. Oh, he's just saying be nice. No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about establishing a bond between you and the customer. If you don't establish a bond between you and the customer, then the customer is not going to be prone to accept the information that you're trying to provide. It's important. It's taken for granted. Once you establish that thing, then a customer is prone to accept even adverse information, accepted. But, and that ties into another thing, the tone. How many times have you talked to someone in customer service and their tone was horrible? Right then and there, you knew you didn't want to talk to that person anymore. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
The tone establishes the mood for the level of communication and determines whether communication will continue or go straight into the abyss in an abrupt manner. I promise you.
Well, I can see how that would apply to any job, anywhere, anything that you're doing, right?
If you're dealing with people.
Yeah. If you're dealing with people, like I'm a reporter, I go out on the street every day. I have to go up to people, ask them a question, and hope that they'll answer. And my attitude has everything to do with it. Whether I go up to them and I'm smiling and I'm nice, and even if somebody turns me down and says, no, I don't feel like talking today, if I say, it's all right, no problem, it's all in the attitude. If I go up to somebody and go, I really need to talk, and I'm like crazy and I'm loud, and they're not going to talk to you.
No, they're going to shut you up.
So I see what you're saying. So you can apply a lot of the things that you talk about in this book to everyday life.
Yes, you can. You can. Courtesy is contagious. Things, for instance, it is. It is. If you're driving and someone say let you get pull over in front of them, you're more apt to pay that forward. You with me?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So again, that's the whole thing. We live in a service-oriented society, so people expect good to great customer service. That's why I tried to write a book on great call center customer service. Being good is one thing, but if you want to be great, that's another thing altogether. And that not many people want to be great, just like most people don't want to be leaders. They don't want to have anything to do with it. You do it. No, you can take care of it. Who wants to go up to the plate and lead, say, 50 to 100 people? I bet you don't know a lot of people right off the
No,
bat.
it's a lot of work. It's a
That's
lot of
right.
work. It's a lot of work.
Who wants to be that responsible? Let's just be more specific. Most people don't.
Right. No, you're right. You know, what I'm wondering is, do you believe that there's enough customer service representatives in the areas that we're talking about, in particular, Blue Cross, Aetna?
No, if there were, you wouldn't have to be placed on hold. Now, would you?
Exactly. So why don't we have enough call center representatives? Do they not get paid well?
Some do, some don't.
Well, what areas do they get paid well?
The larger call centers, say like Blue Cross, Blue
Okay.
Shield, say your local utility company. Well, let's say who's your main utility provider, say for power.
Let's say PSE&G.
All right, those representatives probably get well, but when you go to the smaller call centers, on an average, I would say my experience is that they don't.
They don't.
No, but you got to position yourself. But like you should know the field. Call center customer service. Say in uh basically what basically companies say mid to larger size. Starts to tie into marketing. Okay, and you got to know the product. So if you're apt to know what you're dealing with, then you make yourself more valuable as a call center representative. Most of my experience, literally all my experience, has been in large call centers, and the whole thing was to learn the product that you're dealing with. How can you can't successfully be a call center representative if you're not able to explain the product to the customer? Because they're depending on you. When they call in, they're expecting you to tell them what they're trying to find out. And sometimes customers have become so sophisticated and continually do so, they'll ask you something and they'll have the answer, but they want to see what you will share with them.
Right, right. Well, I would
Okay?
think, again, like you're talking about, healthcare. A customer service representative would have to know a lot about healthcare. You couldn't just throw anybody in there.
No, you can't. Everyone that's hired, they just look for a job. They don't know anything about healthcare. But once you get the job, you need to continue to learn, educate yourself
Right,
to
right.
be successful. Not most people aren't looking to be successful, Alice. They're looking to get a check. It
Yeah.
stops there. You know, it's about what you aspire to be in life. What do you want to do? What do you believe you can do? What is your belief system based on? I got some interesting, some intimate things in this book because having been a customer service representative, I know I've lived it, I've experienced it. Therefore, I decided to share it. I can't quote the book to you word for word, but basically, what I can tell you is this: if you aspire to succeed in customer service. Look, when you say, most people say customer service, I don't want to be a customer service rep. Yeah, you're right. Most people don't. That's because you think you should be doing something more important. Well, that's not that. Everyone who aspires to accomplish something in life probably does. That's natural. But what are you doing at that particular moment? Where are you in the here and now? As opposed to where you think you should be or you want to be. Where are you now? And those are a couple of things that I point out in the book. How many times have you talked to a representative and let's say they didn't talk what you consider being speaking to you in the proper manner? you couldn't understand them, you had problems understanding them, or they weren't clear enough for you. Know what I'm saying? Have you ever experienced that?
All the time. Don't you think that's one of the biggest complaints is that a lot of these companies farm out their service?
When you do that, okay, uh, and to a certain extent, you're taking the customer for granted again. For instance, like I got a section in the book called "The Importance of Pronunciation and Enunciation." Pronunciation, is to speak correctly, while enunciation is to speak clearly. If you don't take that to heart, you can destroy the possibility of communicating with the customer in a matter of say 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You really can. Uh, a major benefit of using correct pronunciation projects the professionalism of a CSR, and it indicates interest in the information provided by the customer. People don't realize, most people don't want to realize when you say customer, well, because you say AT&T. Well, how did you get to be AT&T? Didn't you do that by continuing to build a customer base? Well, how do you build a customer base? The point I'm getting at is the customer is the lifeblood of the organization. All representatives don't focus on that. They just say, well, this is customer. I'm going to lunch in 45 minutes. No, it's not about that.
Right.
Do the job. Do the job, do what you're supposed to do. And your job is servicing the customer.
Right.
So make sure you're providing customer service until you sign off that phone.
You know what I'm wondering? A lot of these social media platforms, there is no customer service. You have to contact them through email, right?
Exactly.
If you want to resolve something. It's the most frustrating thing. Is that the way it's going to be? Like there will be no human to talk to. It'll all be through the internet, or do you think that these very successful companies will find the value in having real live humans solving issues?
Some will, most won't. We can't escape the truth. The world, as you know, is being automated more so daily. You call and like you say it yourself, you're prompted through about three different computers, and after about 4 or 5 times, you finally get a person.
And in some cases, you never get a person.
That's the whole point of writing this book. Okay, if I can, sometimes if you can just change the attitude of one person, then you can successfully change the attitude of 100. For instance, like say with call center marketing, if you provide information to a customer in the right way, and then they're happy, they're pleased with, well, they're prone to share it with someone else. That's called viral marketing. No one's gonna share good information with a friend unless they actually enjoyed it. Am I correct?
Correct.
All right, but have you ever heard the notion that good news travels fast, bad news travels faster, better?
Correct. Yes.
All right, so if you do something that affects the customer in a negative manner, they're prone to tell 10 people. If you do something good with the customer's pleased with, they might tell 2 or 3. All right.
So let me ask you this. How are you telling people about your book?
Emails, communications, mouth to mouth, contacting the right individual in the right position by phone, Facebook. This podcast is really important. I got a lot of people excited about it. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Good.
They're looking for. In fact, I have like 3 or 4 possible bulk purchases, depending on this podcast, because they said that, well, we want to hear this podcast, and then we'll get back with you. I mean, you
Let
know,
me know how you make out.
oh yeah. But the
All
thing
right.
is, if you want to improve your organization, it's one thing to be good, but if you want to be greater, you want to be better, then you got to make a sacrifice to do anything in life. Do you not agree?
I could not agree more, especially in this area. Nothing frustrates people more than a bad customer service rep. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. The only thing that frustrates customers more than a bad customer service representative is no customer service representative. Where
Well,
you're just, you're just lost in the world of automation and nobody's ever getting on the phone. Nobody's ever calling you back. You have to do everything through email. Like when you want an answer, you want an answer. You want a place to go. You want to feel heard. You want to feel that somebody cares about what you're dealing with.
yes, but you need to have people in the position that could stress the importance of them being a customer. Because if you don't show them that you're appreciative of them being a customer, that's when they turn to the competitor.
Right.
You follow me?
I hear you.
Look, I even got a chapter in this book about the importance of good mental and physical health. How about that?
Well, that's again true no matter what job you're doing.
You got to take care of yourself. And so
Yeah.
forth, you need to be in an environment that's conducive to you being able to get a certain amount of rest and relaxation. You follow me?
I do.
Yeah. So, oftentimes, many people take things for granted because they say, oh, I got to do this, got to do. Yeah, are you really prepared to do it? If you're
Right.
not prepared, the chances of success are minimized. Am I correct?
You are correct, sir.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You're funny. Listen, I have got to wrap this up, but what a pleasure talking to you. This is way more than a customer service representative.
Well, that's why I tell you it's a good read for anyone. I can just tell people and share with. Look, read the book. You won't regret it. But how many people are gonna do it? Until maybe the more people, if I can just get a few people to get the book, read the book, and then they share it.
Right.
I'm trying to create a domino effect here. I've got to do that. And so far as marketing my book, you've
Of
got to
course.
be able to do that.
Well, I believe you will, Dr. Price. If anybody can do it, you can.
Well, thanks. That's a great compliment. All right, listen. I'm gonna write on that for the rest of the week. Okay.
Okay, good. You should.
Look, I'm just so glad that we got a chance to do this interview, and I am so grateful and humbled as well. Okay, I want you to know that.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Look, be safe and listen. Be blessed. Okay.
You too. When I Get That Feeling Near My Booty is the name of our next book by Dr. Keira M. Mitchell, who just finished her doctorate degree in psychology and did not miss a beat publishing her first children's book about that special time for every little one.
Hi, Alice. Very nice to meet you. I'm great.
It's nice to meet you. Where am I calling?
You're calling Colorado.
Colorado. It's got to be beautiful out there now.
Oh, yes, it finally is. We've had a couple weeks of rain, but we finally hit the sunshine.
Are you a hiker by any chance?
Oh, absolutely.
How could you not be a
It's a
hiker?
requirement before you move.
Right? Well, first of all, have you ever written before?
This is my first published works, but I've always loved to write. And yeah, children's books just were something that kind of came easily when I started writing them down.
Writing them down so there's more than one?
There is more than one, but this is my first one.
What inspired you to write this one? Was there some kind of an experience that you had?
Well, I first wrote a couple of different children's books, and I was sharing them with a close friend of mine who had a 3-year-old at the time, and she challenged me to write a potty training book. And I said, okay, let's see how this goes.
She challenged you.
Yes, she did.
Do you have any idea how difficult it can be to potty train a child?
I did work at preschool for a little bit, so a little bit older children, but definitely, you want to be on top of things. You want to make sure that they have what they need. And in my experience, I've talked with a lot of parents, through writing the book, and especially after writing the book. And a huge recurring theme that I found is that parents want this to be an easy conversation, not something that makes the child feel uncomfortable or anything like that. Just, we can have a conversation about this and we can make this process fun.
Well, There seems to me to be a lot of books out there about potty training little ones. Is that what's missing? Do we somehow make them feel uncomfortable?
I have definitely read a couple of different potty training books. One of my little cousin's favorite ones growing up was Everyone Poops. And same kind of thing that I was going for with this normalization of, yep, everyone poops. It's okay. This is a normal process. Let's make it more comfortable. And that was definitely something that I wanted to make sure was included in my book. It's funny rhymes, walking children through the steps of potty training and trying to help them to remember, okay, I'm feeling this way, so here's what I do.
It's rhymes?
Yes, it is a rhyming book. I am a big fan of rhymes.
You didn't tell me that. It sets it apart right there.
Well, thank you. I think so. I enjoy rhymes. And, when I pitched this to a couple of friends' kids, they really liked the rhymes as well. I read it to children, I read it to adults, and everyone's kind of giggled their way through it and thought that it was really fun when you throw in a couple of funny little silly rhymes and make it, like I said, a fun experience.
So tell me how the story goes.
Absolutely. So it starts off with, it's from the child's perspective. And she's explaining, I have this feeling near my booty, so I know that now I need to start pulling down my pants. I need to start trying to go potty. Oh, fantastic. I was actually able to go potty. And then we have to always remember, to wash our hands. So it goes into more detail than that, but those are the steps that we follow. Oh, I got this feeling that helps me to remember it's time to try and go potty.
Does the little girl have a name?
Not in the book. She does not.
Huh, interesting. That kind of makes it like it could be my name. We'll call the little girl, right?
Exactly, yes.
So I want an example of one of your rhymes.
Ooh, okay. So it's called When I Get That Feeling Near My Booty. And it starts off, when I get that feeling near my booty, I know I got to make some duty.
Okay, give me another one.
Let me see. Ooh, I go pee and then I can yell whoopee.
When you're reading it, do you say whoopee? Like,
oh yes. Oh yes. I think that the more you're into reading the book, the more fun it is. So that's why I really wanted to make sure it was a fun book to read and a fun book to listen to and one that we can giggle through.
What's the average age to potty train? Like, when do you start?
I think a lot of parents really say that it depends on the child and that they like to look for signs to see, when the child is ready. I've known parents and children who say, yep, my child is ready to start trying at maybe age 2, maybe even a little bit sooner. And I've known parents who say, nope, they're not ready yet. So we're going to keep on waiting and looking for those signs and making sure that this isn't a stressful process, but a lot more of a natural process.
I mean, I've been told by parents of girls that girls are much better. I had 2 boys.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And my younger son just did not want to potty train, and it was just like, what are we gonna do? So we started by letting him go on a tree in our backyard. Like he was all about. It's like, how do we get you to pull your pants down, buddy, and stop using the diaper? Stop using. At that time, it was pull-ups. Like everybody had pull-ups.
Oh yeah.
And the only way we could get him like on board was if we let him go on the tree, and then we had to graduate from the tree to. It was hard. Boys were. I found it really difficult.
Absolutely, I hear you. And yes, trying to figure out, okay, each child is different. What's going to work? What's going to go well? And once again, trying to look for that. Okay, this isn't going to be a stressful thing. We're going to figure out what works for you.
Well, in your book, is there trial and error? Like, does she fail once in a while, or does it take her a while to get on board or to get on the pot?
Not in this one, because I wanted it to be a little bit more of a how-to guide. So, I really wanted those clear steps laid out as, okay, I'm getting this feeling, so I'm going to go ahead and try and go potty. And then, okay, we're done. Let's wipe with the toilet paper. Let's fold and let's make sure that we're really clean and wipe once more, kind of a thing. And then, into the hygiene, into washing hands.
Okay, wait a minute. Wipe. We wiping forward or are we wiping back? That's another thing.
That is definitely another thing. I didn't specify because to be perfectly honest, I figured, okay, parents are going to know and they'll walk through that step. Just want to make sure that we're mentioning, hey, we wipe.
We wipe, yeah, because I bet you anything, like people have preferences, whether you go back to front or front to back.
Mm-hmm.
I think
boys
Boys, it's back to front, girls front to back. I should know that. Right?
As well. But I don't have any kids yet.
Yeah, but you're going to be great when you do.
Oh, thank you. I hope so.
You're going to have a library of children's books.
Exactly. Yes.
So what are some other books in the hopper? I'm sorry.
Well, one of the ones, no, you are great. One of the ones that I wrote that I'm really, really excited to hopefully get the opportunity to publish soon, I call What It Means to Be a Princess. And another little girl, and we're going through her morning, and she's asking her mom, can I really be a princess? So her mom asks her what that means to be a princess, and she starts explaining as she goes throughout her day, princesses go on fun adventures, but as she's saying that, she is going on a fun adventure with her mom to the grocery store. Princesses have wonderful things, and she's explaining her toys and how those are wonderful things. So it's really a little bit of a focus on positive psychology of, wow, I have everything that I need. And my life is wonderful the way that it is. And then at the end, her mom tells her princesses have people who love them like you do.
So you're really using your psychology to kind of give kids a positive outlook.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful thing.
Well, thank you.
Is that the next one we're going to talk about in the near future?
So. I do. I hope so.
You say you have a lot of friends who have kids. Are you in a position to read your book to little children, do a story time? I mean, how are you letting people know, hey, I wrote a book, I want you to buy it?
Absolutely. Well, so far I have been going, to my friends' houses and reading to their kids, or if they do live out of state, I can always send them a copy. And then from there, I think I'm going to try a little bit of local marketing and go around to some local boutiques and bookstores. I did already find a boutique who's interested in the book and see if we can, maybe set up some story time, maybe local libraries. I'm not afraid to put my feet on the ground and start talking to people about whatever I need.
That's great. Well, good for you. I wish you all the luck in the world. Good for you.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye. The name of our next book, Mr. Macaw, written by 10-year-old Dwayne Collins. So we're going to check in with his mom first. How you doing, Marcia?
My son wrote the story.
Okay.
He's 10 years old, and he would actually like to do the interview himself, if that's okay.
That's absolutely okay.
Okay. He's been practicing. We went over those interview questions, but he can present himself well. He just told me that he gets more nervous when he's in front of mom and dad doing it.
Yeah, that's understandable. And those questions, I'm not asking him any of those questions. We're just going to have a nice, easy conversation about his book.
Oh,
that's all.
Great. Okay. She's going to have a nice, easy conversation with you about your book. She's not asking you any of those questions. Okay. So you get to do it by yourself. Okay. So you can go in your schoolroom if you want. He's homeschooled. So he found that what works for him is being in a quiet place. So he can go in his schoolroom, he can close the door.
Wow, he's got a schoolroom in his house. That's very cool.
Yes, yeah.
Where are you guys from?
We're living in Sylvania, Ohio.
Great. Hi, Dwayne. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Dwayne, what do you do for fun?
I go outside and play with my puppy Lids every day for fun.
What kind of puppy?
Beetle.
Is it a he or a she?
He.
You guys go on walks together and stuff?
Well, he sort of pulling with walks, though.
So you're saying he walks you, right, Dwayne?
Yeah.
What made you decide to write a book?
Because I've been, I was out in nature and I feed the squirrels every morning now, and what I saw that Mr. McCall for is my pet toad climber teacher's name because I like to play school, so I was thinking of a teacher's name.
Who is Mr. McCaw? Is that a squirrel?
Yes. I have to write journals, so I thought of Mr. McCall as a father squirrel.
Nice. So what does the squirrel do?
The squirrel what's hard to take care of his family and make things out of wood.
What does he make out of wood?
Trophies, boats, bird houses, anything you can think of.
How does he do that?
By a quiet shed, he works in with all different pieces of wood and a chainsaw to cut them.
So I'm looking at the house in the picture. Did he build that house?
No, he and the other squirrels made the house.
Wow, that's a pretty nice house. How many kids does Mr. McCaw have?
One.
Okay. There's Mrs. McCaw,
Mhm.
and what's their kid's name?
Little squirrel.
Little squirrel. And they have a dog, Spotty the dog.
Yep.
So there's not an ordinary day in the squirrel family.
That's why.
How is the day not ordinary?
Because uh, the squirrel family is always venturing around to different countries, cities, or around their town. There is no ordinary squirrel day in their story. Like Little Squirrel did the magic show with flabby hands, and they went shopping on a moving walkway.
He did a magic show?
Yeah, with flabby hands.
Rabby Hands? Who's that?
A robot that Mr. McCall made.
Mr. McCall made a robot?
Mhm.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So that's like his friend.
Yep, Mr. Flabby Hands.
How do they travel?
Are you saying Squirrel Family or Mr. Flabby Hands?
The squirrel family, how do they travel?
They travel by boat, walks, and mostly by boat because it's a river by their house, so they travel by boat to different stores or different places.
That's so fun.
Mhm.
Do you want to read a little bit of your book to me?
Okay, but I have to do it from mom and dad's room.
Okay, go ahead. Read me your favorite part.
Okay, okay, I'm back.
Okay, I'm ready, Dwayne.
Okay, well, let me find my favorite part.
How many pages is your book?
Uh, Let me go to the end to see. 44.
44 pages.
Yep. Let me find my favorite part.
Okay.
Oh, right here. Mr. McCall bid annual shopping trip. Chapter 1. One Friday morning, the McCall family woke up and ate nuts for breakfast. It was the last box of nuts. They had to make a long shopping list for all the things they needed. This would be their annual shopping trip to DJ's Everything store. First, Mr. McCall had to warm up the car while Mrs. McCall and the little squirrel were getting dressed. Then they started to head outside. The little squirrel said, "You forgot your shopping list, Mrs. McCall." "Thank you for reminding me," she replied. Finally, the family all climbed in the car and headed to DJ's Everything store. Once they arrived, they saw the big letters for the parking lot aisles. They wondered where should they park, and a friendly man told them whichever letter uh, your last name started with was a good aisle to park in. The little squirrel said. You are right, said Mr. McCall. That will make it easier to remember. Chapter 2. After they parked the car, they found a shopping cart in the musical car aisle. The little squirrel was dancing to the music that was playing. Then the McCall family got their own shopping cart for their big shopping trip. Finally, they got into the store. The little squirrel looked at the list and said, and then split the list into 3 equal pieces. He asked, "Can we all take a part and do our own shopping? Then we can meet up at the front door by the leader." "Yes," said Mr. McCall, but the McCall family had a little bit of a problem. The store was filled with many customers, and then made it for them to tough for them to pass through the aisles. They tried to look for shortcuts, and after a few minutes then finally found a moving walkway that played music. There was a woman who worked in the store that helped the customers to get somewhere stick by the moving walkway. She asked, "Are you staying on this floor or going upstairs?" Mr. McCall answered, "We are all staying on this floor." The woman asked, "Would you like to go slow, medium, or fast across the moving walkway?" The little squirrel wondered, "Does the speed go with the beat of and the rhythm of the music?" She said, "The speed does go with the music." Mr. McCall let the little squirrel decide what speed he wanted. The little squirrel picked medium speed. After the McCall family got across the moving walkway, they finally made it into the departments and that they were supposed to go to in the first place.
Wow. Now that's an adventure right there. And they haven't even begun shopping. So I guess we find out how they make out in this book. You are a very good reader. You're a very, very good reader.
Thank you.
And what an imagination. Are you going to write more books about the squirrel family?
Yes, I'm going to.
That is amazing. Do all of your friends know that you've written a book?
Well, I sort of don't have any friends because I'm homeschooled.
You don't have any friends?
No.
How are you going to sell your book?
Well, I have neighbors, though.
Oh, you have neighbors. You're going to go to the neighbors?
Yeah. Yes. And after this interview, I'm going to one of my neighbors' house and see if she wants one of these books.
Well, I hope she buys one. And maybe with your book, you can make some friends.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel when your book came in the mail and it was all finished?
I was happy and excited.
Well, you should be. You should be very, very proud of yourself, Dwayne. You did a great job. You did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, I want to be a baseball player and a farmer.
Okay. Well, I hope I get to talk to you again before you grow up and see what other books you got in that head of yours.
Yep.
You did a great job. Thank you so much, Dwayne.
You're welcome.
You have a great day, honey.
Okay.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. Hope to see you back here every Saturday night at 8 p.m. or listen to our podcast anytime on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, just to name a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where independent new authors come first.